Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Fletcher. Today, I'm going to take just a few minutes to talk to you about the Laboratory Stewardship Committee templates I've posted on my website. Laboratory stewardship committees, they're a heavy lift. If you don't already have one, starting one can be a challenge. I do think in the end, they are probably the best way to get laboratory stewardship initiatives started. It really takes that committee structure to drive a lot of these more complicated projects. There's other ways you can get started, and I'm going to post another video about utilization review, so check that one out as well. Before we get straight to the templates, let's just talk for a moment about laboratory stewardship committees. As you'll see in the template, there's lots of different elements you have to get in place. Um, the best way to start run, I think, is first of all to come up with your governance structure. Where is this committee going to live? When I first started a laboratory stewardship committee, my very first time, I decided to do it as a subcommittee of the medical executive committee. That way, we had the governance structure in place straight to the medical staff. That doesn't have to be the case everywhere, but I think for a lot of you, that's probably going to be the best way to go. But obviously, there's more than one way to skin a cat. As far as before we get to the template, I'm going to show you one other resource on my website as well. Let's go to my website, and here it is right here. Um, Under topics, you can see I've got general laboratory stewardship papers. While we're talking about laboratory stewardship committees, one particularly useful resource could be this NCLS laboratory stewardship guideline. I'll open that up real quick. This is a paper I wrote with a group out of the Plugs group in Seattle, Washington. We met at one of the Plugs conferences, and we wrote this paper. I've got the link to it right here on my website. And if you open it up, it's a really good summary about laboratory stewardship, what it is, the interventions, and importantly, it's got a section in here discussing an effective laboratory stewardship committee. So, in any case, that's a good resource. But let's go ahead and get to the Laboratory Stewardship Committee templates. I'm just going to go back to my website here, and under Topics, I've got them posted right here, Stewardship Committee templates. These are examples of real Laboratory Stewardship Committee charters, and I've de-identified them obviously for confidentiality. You can see the first one here, and if you scroll down, there's a second one. They're both similar but slightly different, so check them both out. One might be more applicable to your facility than the other, but in any case, I thought I'd put a couple in there. So let's go ahead and open up the first one. I'm just going to click on the name, scroll back down, and you can see I've got the link right here to charter number one. So let's start with what is a charter? Well, if you're going to start a committee, you have to have a document that explains what the committee is, how it works, who's on it. It's the roadmap for your committee. It's really easy for people to say, go start a committee, go write a charter. If you've never done one before, what the heck does a charter even look like? So here's an example. This is pretty self-explanatory. Committee name, document owner, scope. In my first hospital system, the Laboratory Stewardship Committee was actually going to cover several facilities. In this case, you simply list out all the different facilities where the charter applies. A committee charter really should have a one line or a very brief statement of purpose. You can see the example here of what this particular healthcare system chose. Feel free to wordsmith this, edit it, and make changes as you need. The key objectives and outcomes, again, a few bullet points about what we're trying to achieve. How often will the committee meet? Let's see. I would say most laboratory stewardship committees I've been involved with, it's usually once a month, but it really depends on your facility. I think some small facilities, maybe once a quarter is enough, but you'll have to think about what works best in your facility. Communication, document storage location. Once the committee takes actions, how are you going to disseminate that information to the medical staff? Will you have an agenda you put out? Again, pretty basic questions, but they need to be answered. Membership, this is a tough one. I had to take a long time to think about this. As far as a chair or a physician, I'll admit I was fortunate. I was the department chair and I wanted to start the committee. So I guess you could say I had a committee chairman already on board. Most of the time, uh, on laboratory stewardship committees, the chairman is a pathologist, but not always. Sometimes the pathologist, this might not be their thing. It doesn't mean that you cannot do a laboratory stewardship committee. You'll just have to identify other physicians. In my medical staff, surprisingly, some of my biggest proponents around resource utilization were actually, I have one who was an anesthesiologist and one who was a radiologist. Sometimes you'll find these champions in surprising places. Generally, what I recommend is ask around, talk to your pathologist, talk to the doctors on your medical staff. Invariably, in most institutions, I find a physician or two, and they're interested in this kind of work. Other people to have on the committee, you'll have to think about, of course, informatics and IT. I know that can be a tough resource to get, but really to have a successful committee, you need to have somebody from those departments as a member. And then, of course, you have to think about administration. It really helps to have somebody from finance as well. Any case, on the charter, just write out who do you think should be a member of the committee. Leadership, you're going to have a chairperson, co-chair, again, self-explanatory. Membership commitments. It's nice to say that the meetings will start and end on time. Nobody likes a committee that drags on late into the evening. And again, some more bullet points there. A brief statement about roles and responsibilities. I'll let you read through this. I won't read it all to you. That is basically how you put together a charter. Again, feel free to take this one, edit it however you see fit. I've got a second example in there. Let me know how it goes for you. If you can use these templates to make your own, I'd love to hear back from you. Leave me a post, send me a comment or an email. Good luck on all your laboratory stewardship initiatives, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.